Hello, everyone. Welcome to Time for Anything. I'm Derek,
And I'm Phil.
and today we have our good friend Brad with us. Say hello, Brad.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to finally be here.
Yeah.
We've been trying to get Brad on for a little while now,
And
you were definitely an early candidate just to be on the show in general. I was like, gotta have Brad on there.
Mm-hmm.
One, because I know you love podcasts. Two, because I think you have a lot of excellent things to say. So,
And Brad's
thank
also
you.
like a brother to you,
100%.
you know?
I definitely still consider him to be like a brother.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is wonderful. I can't wait. Should be a good time, and thank you. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Awesome. So we just kind of started off opening up. How's everyone's day? What's going on, Phil?
It's been good. Yeah. I woke up, did some chores, worked out today, made a smoothie as always, because you gotta get that protein.
What kind of smoothie you make?
It was banana mango with, sorry, not banana mango. It was strawberries with mangoes, and then just like my 4 different powders I throw in there with just a buttload of almond milk.
What are the flavors of the powders? I'm just trying to get like a...
I have like a greens powder, so I have like, it's got like kale, spinach, like a bunch of other stuff in there just to get some vegetable nutrition. I do powdered peanuts just because it's easier than peanut butter.
Yeah, that was great advice.
And then I've got other types of protein, which I guess it's kind of like whey protein, where I'm not really sure if it's like milk protein or if it's something else. Yeah.
Is it chocolate flavored?
But it has like a very specific type of protein. And then I have another type of protein powder that uses like pea protein. So
Interesting.
Yeah, I just try to get...
So plant powered.
Yeah.
For the most part. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I think especially making like protein smoothies or health smoothies, you kind of want to balance. Well, I mean, it depends on your preference, but like I would want to balance flavor with nutritional value. Just me.
Yeah.
How about you, Brad? What are you feeling?
Whenever I make a protein shake, when I rather a smoothie, whatever you want to call it, because everyone knows there is a difference between throwing it in the shaker bottle and putting it in the blender.
Right.
Yeah, right.
I think that banana is always key. Peanut butter or peanut powder, incredible.
Yeah.
Such an incredible like advent. Where'd that come from? But it's so
really
wonderful.
Cut the nasty powdery taste of all the powders that are in there.
Yeah, and it's so potent, right?
Yeah,
like a little scoop
you get
of
that.
Yeah,
flavor.
yeah, it's peanut, right? It's there.
Yeah.
I think that I like the idea of greens. I normally just throw a handful of spinach in because it just blends, right? There's no flavor to it, right? Kale's good.
Yeah.
And then the protein powder and ice and yeah, like definitely an alternative milk,
Yeah,
coconut milk,
I just can't really
milk.
do dairy anymore. It eats my butt.
I'm definitely not gonna say that I'm lactose intolerant or that I became lactose intolerant because like I can still drink milk, but in general I prefer alternative milk now. It just makes my stomach feel
for sure.
Yeah.
It's lighter. It's just more chill, right?
Yeah.
It's good.
I'm glad that that's like an agreed upon thing. Like veganism still, it's getting better. You know, it's getting a lot more popular and more mainstream. But like a lot of people can just be like, yeah, alternative milk's the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
I think a lot of people are starting to realize that they eat a lot of dairy, and when they cut
in
it
America?
out,
Are you kidding?
Like you cut out all the dairy, and you're like, oh, I don't really feel much different because you don't really realize it. But then you go back to it, and you're like, oh my god, that's just wrecking my body.
You're just heavy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, that's exactly how it feels. It's like you've got like a weight in the bottom of your stomach or something. It's not good.
So speaking of that, Brad, do you mind talking about like, you know, your weight loss journey and all that stuff?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm really interested.
Let's open it up.
I love
because,
to.
like, it's really incredible.
And I'm sorry. I saw a picture of you a couple months ago or weeks ago, and then obviously now I've seen you for the first time in years, and I was like, holy cow, Brad's like slim. He's like muscular. Like you look good.
Yeah.
You look really good.
Well,
you look healthy.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I obviously appreciate it. Everyone gives me a lot of kind words and stuff, and there's a lot of weird stuff because
you deserve those kind words.
Of course, I would never like say, it's whatever, because like it's hard work and whatever, all that stuff. But the thing is, there's some people who straight up don't recognize me, which has been weird.
Okay.
It's been very strange. And sometimes when I look in the mirror, every now and then I'm like, especially if I'm looking at old photos like from a year ago, and even more so from even farther in the past, like 2, 3, 4 years ago, I'm like, which one am I? You know what I mean? Who am I supposed to be? I know it's kind of weird. And that's been an interesting thing. And that's
I think your whole face has changed.
It has.
It has. You know, and this is what I experienced too when I lost some weight. You know, obviously, a little side story. Brad and I were heavyset guys. We were practically brothers. We would live together, like typically on the weekends. My dad was in a relationship with his mom. So
For how long was that? It was like a good
5-6 years.
No, longer than that.
Really?
Yeah, like 10 years.
I mean, like,
Oh,
I
that's a
spent a
long
majority of my childhood at your house, just in general,
Yeah,
hanging
yeah.
out.
Well, you guys used to call Brad your stepbrother, even.
I
though
still
he
would
wasn't.
today.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I, like, even when I talk about Brad, I'm like, yeah, my stepbrother, but I'm like, it's complicated.
It's a strange
like,
gray
thing,
area with
but, like,
that.
Yeah, it's
Even-
just, yeah.
Well, just like, my father, I have my stepmother, Faye, and there's also my stepmother, Trisha, right? And it's like, how does that work? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
they're
like,
not
what's-
together
right.
anymore, but it's
Yeah,
like, well,
right.
what is that person to be? Like, still my stepmother,
Yes,
I guess.
I don't
Same
have any
thing.
full siblings. That's something that doesn't really make
That's
a
a very
difference
good
in my
point.
life, but like my one sister I lived with all my life, stepdad's daughter, so she's, practically like full blood. I don't even see it like that. It's just a technicality.
Technically a half sibling.
And my other sister, I hope she listens.
Yeah, then you
by
have an
the
older
way.
sister.
Both of my sisters.
Yeah.
And
And then your illegitimate stepbrother, Brad.
then my illegitimate. Yeah. And I can't
And
forget
Brittany,
about Brittany.
yeah.
Can't forget about Brittany.
Oh,
Love
yeah. That's so true.
Brittany.
Sorry, how's she doing? Is she...
Brittany's good.
Good?
Brittany, yeah, she works 911 operator.
Wow.
She's been doing that
She's
for
been doing
many
that for a
years.
while now.
That's
Does a
good
lot of
stuff.
travel.
Saving lives. There you go.
She actually is an amazing person for doing that, but also a great fit for that role.
I could definitely see how she would be a very good
Yeah.
person for that role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, shout out to Brittany. If you're listening, Britt Nizzle, I
She
love
will.
you. Is that messed up to say? I don't know.
But like, what inspired you to get into shape and feel like you needed to turn something around?
Like I was just telling Derek when we were walking up here, there's a million different things. There's been a million starts and stops, right? There's been times, my heaviest ever, I was 314 pounds is what I saw on the
Yikes.
scale.
Yeah.
That was freshman year of college.
Okay.
Right? And but at the end of high school, probably about 300. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and now I weighed myself yesterday morning. I was 218. My lowest ever was 215.
But
Now,
you're also
it's
like
3 pounds, whatever.
6'2", aren't you?
Yeah,
Or
6
something
foot, 6'1",
6
right?
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, so the thing was, if someone looked at me, they might not think, oh, you're 315 pounds. I just kind of look like a big guy. Now
Yeah.
looking back, it's like, no, that's a 300-pound man. But
Okay.
still, it's like when I would say, oh, I'm 300 pounds, it'd be like, oh my God, no way, because it's like a shock, right? So you say
Right.
you're 250, it's like, oh yeah, big guy. But it's like 300 is like a different level.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You could be 6'6", 300 pounds, and that's still overweight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But the main motivation was I got COVID-19 in August, and I was like, at that time, I was part of my thing is when I was heavy, and it was about 281 pounds when I started last August, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like
2020.
yes,
Yeah,
2020.
Okay. Yeah.
So I got COVID-19, and part of my whole thing was I knew I had to lose weight. I always knew that. I've always said that I would. I always said I would get down to 220. That was like a goal of mine for the longest time because I was at that when I was a sophomore in high school, and I looked good and everything like that. But my whole thing was like, oh, if I don't lose weight, I'm going to die. I'm going to die
Yes.
early,
Yeah,
right? I would
there you
eat like
go.
a cheesesteak and I'd be like, this is going to give me a heart attack. Like I'm going to have a heart attack. I'd have all this health-related anxiety. I'm going to have a stroke. I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm going to have a brain aneurysm, random stuff.
Yeah.
And it was kind of unhealthy. Like some of the times, like it would be almost debilitating, right? My fear of just like some random thing happening. Well, then I just started, I don't know, like I got COVID and they were saying that, the number one comorbidity was obesity next to like old age or whatever, so I was like, oh my gosh, this is serious now, and plus I'm not aware of the long-term side effects. Another thing was one of my anxieties was like, oh, I'm gonna get a blood clot, right, and it's gonna travel to my heart or blood or my brain, whatever. And they say like the main side effect of COVID was blood clots, right? One of them. So I'm like, this is messed up, right?
So you're like in panic mode.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
was like in panic mode, full on. Like, if this doesn't kill me, that will, right?
Yeah.
So I need to make a change.
Yeah.
And I just did. I just finally did it, and I saw the results on the scale and the things people saying that to me, and even I just kept going because it's funny. I think that, and this applies to all things in life, right? Success begets success, right? If you're
Yes.
successful, you'll continue. That will motivate
That
you to be
makes a
more
lot of sense.
successful,
Right.
right? So right now I took a little break from kind of going really hard at it over March, April, and in May, most of May. So now I'm like, I didn't gain any weight. I still lost weight, but I kind of relaxed the diet, slowed down my exercise. But now I'm like, all right, now let's try to get like a little more cut up, right?
Right.
For August, September.
Right.
And
Sunday
now,
season,
right? And I'm sure
Mhm.
Derek has heard this a million times. Like, I'm trying to look like Rocky in Rocky 4, right?
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
A million, like, there's a certain amount of people who have heard this stuff a million times. My mother, my family,
Have you
I'm
heard
gonna
of
look like
human
Rocky.
growth hormone?
Right, HGH and testosterone. That's it. That's all I need.
You're gonna need it
But
to look like that.
I'm like, that goal seems more attainable now and not so, maybe not Rocky 4, you know what I mean? Like,
But
in terms
I see
of
your
like
point,
that.
like,
But it's
when
like,
you're
I
like
could
the
get
first
cut up.
Rocky
I
where
could
like,
have
like,
visible
yeah,
abs. I could, this
Yeah.
and that. Now, a year ago, that's a far cry.
Right. It's
But a
so
year-
far from the realm of possibility in your mind.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Can I just say, and I have no experience in any sort of abdominal muscle showing, but I will say, getting abdominal muscles, getting abs, getting that six pack, is more diet than exercise.
Oh, yeah.
It is
Yeah, yeah.
exercise. It is mainly cardio, but in order to take your BMI down to that level,
Yeah.
you have to have a good diet. You do hit a wall, and it's better just do diet and exercise at the beginning. I think personally, get that over with,
Right.
and then keep the ball rolling.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like, oh, why am I doing all this? Oh, to get a six pack of abs. It's like,
No.
that's
No.
secondary, right? That's
Right.
I already did the majority of the leg work, right? I'm healthier. I think, Phil said, that's something you don't hear very much. Oh, you look great, you look good, you
Yeah.
lost a lot of weight, but no, like Phil's saying, you look healthier, right?
Yes,
I like
yes.
hearing that,
Yes,
that's
right?
healthy.
It's like, thank you, I appreciate
Yeah, there's
that.
like some kind of like shine in your face where it's like it seems like you're taking care of your body and yourself, and that's good to see. And imagine how much this is going to affect things like your feet and your knees and just your joints in general.
Oh my goodness.
Like, I do you have less
Oh
knee
my,
pain?
oh my goodness. Look, there are things, like I said about my health anxiety, all that is essentially gone, right? I don't fear
Good.
just waking up and
you
dying,
die.
right? Yeah, like
It's
I don't
terrifying.
have that. I mean, and it's good and bad, I guess, because that kind of motivated me to,
Right.
get this started. But I don't
Yeah.
have a debilitating fear of getting a blood clot if I sit for 2 hours,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my joints, like they did hurt.
It just becomes
right?
real.
They hurt
Yes.
like a lot. Carrying around 300 pounds, it hurt my knees, it hurt my ankles. I mean, my ankles still crack every time I walk down the steps. And I do still have these like joint pains and stuff from the years of wrestling and football and exercise. But like, it's still
Combined.
it's better, right? It's much better. I'm lighter on my feet, right? Obviously, like both literally, athletically, I just am lighter on my feet, and it
I
feels
noticed that
better.
difference
Everything.
too. I lost it. But when I was at 165, I was 235 max. For me, it was stretch marks. That was the big first indicator. Is like I'm literally in bed feeling
Like the weight hanging off of you.
like the stretch marks just
Yeah,
on
okay.
my skin.
Yeah. I think one thing people don't really wrap their heads around is, okay, let's say you weigh 150 pounds, right? Carry yourself on your back everywhere you go. That's what being 300 pounds is.
Yeah, that's
That's
stress
horrible.
on the joints.
Yeah,
too.
oh, yeah.
I mean that's why your joints
that's
hurt in the
ridiculous.
first place. Is that it's and your muscles too. Like
Yeah.
if you have a strong, muscular figure, you can support your joint structure and your just whole body better. Your posture changes too. That's something I noticed is that you seem taller, even. And I was like, that's crazy because you're just lighter on
It's
your
not
feet.
just yanking your spine down.
Exactly. Yeah. I hear all this stuff where it's like when you have like a big belly or like your chest has a lot of fat on it, like it slouches your shoulders forward,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
So when you lose that, you're just kind of upright more, and
Yeah.
you look better, right? Just
Yeah.
everyone looks better if you just puff your chest out. Right?
I don't
It's true,
try
yeah.
it. One guy actually, like when I was like really in shape, he was like, "Why do you puff your chest out?" Like I was like, "What?" And I was like, "I'm
You're just having good posture.
yeah,
Right.
no, I'm just
Yeah.
like kind of pinching my back a little bit just so that
Yeah.
I'm upright because if I didn't, I'm like this." And
It's always been
it
hard
just
for me
makes
because
so much
of
of a difference.
my kyphosis. It just like my neck is just always in pain. So like keeping my body upright just hurts like crazy. But what are you gonna do about it? But
I gotta get back in the
that's
gym.
life.
Man.
But no,
Maybe
you don't-
this is it. Maybe the conversation with you, Brad, is going to be my spark because I definitely.
Yeah, you don't look bad.
It
You
happens.
look-
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate.
Oh
it.
yeah, no, yeah. Like you said that you were feeling. I don't want to throw everything out there, but you said, you feel a little chunky right now,
I
right?
do. Yeah.
That's the same thing we were talking about earlier. It's like, oh, you're not chunky. You're 235. You were chunky, right? Like,
Yeah.
right. It's just standard, but
Remember the old saying,
Oh.
"Bring back fat Derek." But yeah, what is it? Success begets success.
Mhm.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
I definitely felt that, and I'm glad that you're feeling that too, because I think you are deserving of that feeling.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to see that out of you. Other than that, physical, like, are you doing sports? You mentioned like athletically, you feel better. What's going on with that?
Another part of the motivation to keep everything going well is, I coach wrestling this season.
Yeah.
Officially, right? I did it last year as well, kind of volunteer, but I got paid, went in there every day, worked with the team, and that was hard, right? Because I had to
hard.
be physical, right? That's the expectation for the younger guys, right?
Exactly.
We know some of the other coaches,
yeah.
some just sit and some hang out and we'll
Who's the one
work out with
heavyweight
you.
coach? He was young. He was younger when we were like in.
Oh,
I was in
Katzman.
ninth grade. Yeah.
Big
Oh
boy.
man, he would mess me up. See, the thing was, I wrestled 185.
Yeah.
185. My ninth grade year. Brad in eighth grade. That was
That's
the stomach.
210,
That was
right.
a stomach bug year.
No, that was
That was the following year.
No, the stomach bug was when I was a sophomore. So you had already dipped out at
Yeah, I
that point.
dipped. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I mean, there's always some kind of stuff like that. But I lost like 13 pounds in one night. But that was because I was sick.
Wrestling's intense.
I was ill.
Do you think wrestling, and you coach it, so like you would know, do you think it can promote unhealthy eating habits in some ways?
Honestly, we don't do that anymore. Wrestling was hard enough and different enough as it was just being in 2021, right?
Yeah.
With the masks and social distance. Like, how do you
Such a tough
social
sport.
distance a wrestling
don't.
match?
Yeah, that doesn't
like
make
it was very challenging.
You
when
have
we
to
got
be in each
through.
other's faces. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But some of the stuff, when looking back and being an employee, all that stuff now, it's like we weren't ever really told, right, to do things, right?
Yeah.
But, you put these things in your head. No one was telling me to cut from 260 to 220, right? Officially.
Yeah.
No one was
Right.
telling me that. No one was in my ear saying
know.
that. But
I know.
it was like something I felt like I had to do because it's part of being the team.
Yeah.
Right? And I did, right? And is that unhealthy? Yes. Right? Losing 13 pounds in by being sick and not
Short amount of
replenishing
time.
those fluids is very unhealthy.
Right.
Drinking an Ensure to make sure that you're getting your vitamins for the day and not eating
Used to
during
love
the
those
day
things,
is unhealthy. But now,
is.
like right now, there's no real pressure to make Ensure. Like, if you had to lose a pound before the match, like,
Right.
okay, get it done, right? That's you have an expectation to the team, right?
You essentially just
Do
make
you
a big
think-
poop and there's your pound loss, right? I
Right,
mean, like,
right.
it's out
Do
of
you
you.
think maybe it's more on the powers that be within the wrestling community to set like weight ranges? So where a kid, like let's say a kid weighs in the beginning of the season, and I think this already
Certification,
exists.
yeah. There's certification and
Like
and
you
the
can't
scent
go down a
plans.
certain amount of weight,
Yeah.
Within a
weight
certain amount of
classes.
time frame.
Yeah,
Yes,
throughout the season.
It's
Oh.
a thing. It's your certification weight, and then there's like I don't know. I never had to. Being a big guy, it was like, yeah, you could be 285, and if you want to, you can cut down to 220. You're gonna be all right, right? They take your measurements, your body fat with the plier or the calipers and stuff like that, and hydration tests,
Right.
and it's all based on that.
I
But
remember those.
yeah, there are like limits that you can lose and not. So I don't know. Like our program isn't as serious to really require that. I'm sure in places like Iowa, in other places in Pennsylvania, there are where it's more strict and like, no, you're going to lose 14 pounds within the next 3 weeks. It's some kid who's 120 going down to 106. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah, and there's also like the question, like you mentioned, nobody was in your ear telling you to do it explicitly. Like, to what extent does a kid just have the choice to be like, you know what? Like, I understand that this is unhealthy for me, but I want to do this and I'm going to drop this weight. Like, why do we stop them? Because, like, when I think about it, like, wrestling, that is a culture, man.
Yeah,
That
oh,
is
yeah.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
it is like
Like
a
most
bubble.
sports, yeah.
Like,
You
if
could
you
recognize a
wrestle-
wrestler, right? Just I can tell
Right.
you, oh, that kid wrestled, right?
Yep,
It's
100%.
It's definitely a
It's
thing.
usually when they're really short.
Short and cauliflower ear usually does it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
there you
God
go,
I never
yeah.
got any of that.
Yeah.
But
Mashed in the ear so much. Jeez.
the responsibility, I mean, is when, as a professional, air quotes, when you think, when you realize, oh no, this actually isn't healthy, you shouldn't do that. The 120 to 106 shouldn't be done. Me personally, there's a wrestler who went from heavyweight about 260. He didn't wrestle he left the team mid-season because he didn't want to. There's a lot going on, obviously.
Right.
He said, but he told me, hey, I'm going to come back at 215. Well, we have 9 months to do so, right?
9
right
months
now,
is like, okay,
yes.
that's
Now
plenty of time.
He is 230 right now. He's looking great. He's healthy. Same thing,
That's
just
great.
like you guys say to me.
Right.
The dude lost 30 pounds in 3 months. And he looks good. He's healthy. Everything like that. He's gonna get to 215 by
10
November.
10 pounds a month is amazing, and obviously, like with water and all that stuff, it can fluctuate. I think that's why wrestling is such an interesting sport. You can say what you want about the technique,
and obviously to clarify, we're
not
talking about WWE. We're talking about
people do definitely trash wrestling, and I think to an extent it's deservedly so because there is some corniness to it, but there is that in everything, right? You're
high
always
school
gonna
football
have,
in Texas. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my god, like it's kind of corny. Like how
it's corny here. You know what I mean? It's like
right. Oh my god,
as adults
you,
now,
sit back. Yeah,
think back to the stuff we used to do and say
like
and think.
hardos,
It's like
dude, just like screaming, like
it's not that deep. It's all right. It's a game.
Yeah.
They're children.
I'm not gonna name names. I'm not gonna out them. I was more along the goofy side. Definitely could have taken football a little more seriously, but everyone loved my invisible violin for
Oh yeah.
Jeez.
No, we had fun.
I played a role. Yeah, we had fun. Oh my god,
that's all that matters.
So much fun.
Well, we can get back to more on Brad and mentorship and some more things after this. But Derek, why don't you take us a little bit into your fun facts?
All right. So this is my side panel. So we're going to be like rotating essentially. Well, it's just me and you. Did we even drop that news? Did we even like let our viewers know?
We should probably
let them know.
mention that.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, folks.
James just accepted a job. I guess like about an hour away. And his shifts are like 3 to 11 or something. So he's probably not gonna be on regularly. I mean, you might see him once or twice in there somewhere. But I mean, in the next 3 months, he might just pretty much be a ghost. So it's mostly gonna be me, Derek, and whoever we can drag into the studio.
Yeah.
So,
we might just mix it up. My mom actually wants to do an episode.
I would love that. That would be amazing. I would love to talk to her about her career and everything and what
my lord, that would be
It
incredible.
would be quite an experience.
Oh my god. James, unfortunately, will not be with us for a lot of recordings. I was thinking about it today, actually. I'm really going to miss him.
Yeah, well, definitely. Same.
He's not going anywhere. He's just, working.
Well, he'll be back,
Sidebar, before we do this whole side panel thing, side to the side.
Side to the side.
Working full-time is a different beast.
Yes, 100%.
It completely changes your life. Wouldn't you agree? Coming out of college, this is your first year out of college, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so completely different walk of life.
Yeah,
definitely.
100%.
So that's interesting. So now, to my panel. I'm going to just call it Random Facts with Donnie. Nobody's ever called me Donnie on this show,
Donnie
but
Demo.
It is a
Donnie
nickname.
Demo.
Follow me at Donnie Demo, at T4A Podcast. Please. So these are my random facts. First one, the howler monkey, genus Alouata, can howl so loud that it can be heard over how many miles, Phil? How many miles do you think?
Dude, I want to say like 20.
That's okay.
I'm gonna go 10. I'll half that.
10? It's 3.
Okay,
But like,
okay.
still 3 miles.
I was being bold.
Could you imagine?
Well, they say that you can like see if you're on flat land, right? You can see like a candle from like 14 miles away or something like that.
Absolute threshold. I love that shit. We could talk about that.
Oh yeah. But 3 freaking miles.
3 miles is still far as heck.
Like that takes you what? That's like almost an hour walk away. Although 45 minutes.
No,
if
yeah,
you're,
I know
if
an
you're
hour,
speed
maybe.
walking, like 45.
45?
Yeah.
Like you hear that thing go off, and you have to walk that
People
far
walk like
just
2
to
miles
even
an
get
hour.
near. Yeah, people walk slow.
Second fact. The world's fastest street legal car is the 2020 SSC Tuatara, which clocked in at 316.11 miles per hour.
Oh, I was excited to guess. 316 miles per hour.
Yeah, it's actually made by Shelby. This is Shelby's like performance brand,
Dude,
basically.
I've gone like
which doesn't make
100
sense.
before. I can't imagine just tripling that.
They did that in Nevada. It was like on a straight highway with nobody on it.
What the heck?
That's pretty wild.
How much does it cost? Do you have any idea?
I wish.
I bet that thing's like $4 million.
That would have been cool to bring. I will do that next time. But yeah, thought that was just random and cool.
So that's as of 2020, 316 miles per hour.
316 miles per hour.
That's absolutely.
And the Chevron was in there. A lot of people would probably go with the Bugatti.
Yeah,
thinking that's still the fastest.
So that's street legal.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine how lightly you have to touch the gas just to drive. You know what I mean? Down the road, standard.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
Probably so right. How do you even go 25 miles per hour?
Yeah, that's true. I get into like a car with a V6 and the pedal shoddy, and I'm like, this is what?
No, my mom has like a Subaru crossover something or other, and it's like not even supposed to be a fast car. And I'm so used to driving my old putty 07 Ford Focus, so I like touch the gas in that thing and it just goes. Yeah, I can't imagine a car that goes 316. Like, how do you?
My mom
How
had
are you not going 50 all the time?
My mom had a like 2002 Mercedes soft top, that had a V8 in it. So like it didn't have a lot of horsepower, but like it was just
like torque out the butt.
Yeah. So I'd just be like, ring.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah, a lot of those new cars,
that
like
Mercedes,
I bet,
right? Yeah, that was the white Mercedes she owned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, different one. That was a beautiful car.
Yeah, that one was nice.
Oh my god. But yeah, a lot of these newer sports cars, supercars have like launch modes in them, which is so cool. You press a button and it just ring.
Yeah, it's like sports mode or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My last fact. There are 20 muscles in the forearm. Again,
what?
The area is split.
20 muscles in the forearm?
Yeah. So there's the anterior, which I don't know. I'm assuming it's this one. And the anterior and the posterior. So maybe this is the butt. Basically, that's how they break them up, and they're each of those compartments, they call them, are divided into superficial and deep compartments. I don't know what that means.
So there's like a bunch of...
There's a bunch. Because like
little muscle packets within those.
When you're working out, not to bring working out again, but again, you don't say like, oh, I'm working biceps, I'm working triceps. You don't say like, I'm working posterior forearm unless you're like super hard out.
Yeah, mostly,
you know
like,
what I mean?
You know, when you're doing like biceps and curls
like,
and all that stuff, forearms are just included. Yeah, kind of,
part of it, but you can do, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
What, those like wrist workouts?
Oh yeah, you get the little paddle
weight on it. Yeah.
Oh,
that thing. A couple rounds of those.
Amazing gym. Do you get to work out in there?
I could if I wanted to.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was such a good weight room at school.
Oh, perfect, because it's broken in, but there's just enough hammer strength.
See, like at Cabrini, I hated how like fresh the knurling on some of those dumbbells. It's like
it's not broken in.
Yeah, it's like wearing new shoes every day. Like it's not comfortable.
Yeah, like in the bars, like your bars are the same way. They fucking kill my hands.
Well, that's why I wear gloves. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because
and like the other bars, they still have the grip, but it's softened
so
to the point, man.
Yeah.
The amount of iron people had to pump just to get those weights. It's why am I getting emotional about
hundreds
weights?
of hours of people pushing metal against gravity, just the
generations of
until
men
it just
and
finally
wears down. Yeah.
I gotta find a new gym. Anyway, so that was my segment. I hope you guys like my facts.
Good facts. They were definitely entertaining.
I did like your facts. I'm excited for more facts.
Were they like diverse enough? You know, like it was like one on monkeys, one on cars, one on your muscles.
I'm still just thinking about being in the jungle and hearing that thing make a big ol' hoot, and you're like, "What the heck was that?"
Right.
Only one male gets to make the hoot.
Oh, really?
That's another dude. I was deep into the monkey facts, man.
What?
I was in the trenches.
What's it like if another howler monkey does it? They essentially get like.
They're like what?
They're fighting.
What?
It's hands.
Yeah, they might even like kill them and eat them. Like, I don't know. Like some monkeys do that. That's pretty terrifying. They just
monkeys, man. Primates, crazy, dude. They're doing whatever. Like, imagine living in a place where monkeys are like squirrels. They could,
I see your point.
they could just
Right.
open your window. They could be like,
Yeah, you'd have a lot of like stolen items.
yeah,
right?
that's
just
what they
random.
do. You're
Like
exactly
in Costa
right.
Rica, I always hear about stories about people getting like their chips stolen or their car keys. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's insane.
So yeah, that was my side panel. I think now is the perfect time to move into the formal interview of my man Brad. So we're gonna do that. So just to start it off, we kind of already gave a backstory, but do you remember how we first met?
Yeah, of course I do. The funny thing is, I could tell you when I first met Demo. I could tell you one of my earliest memories with Phil here. Like, I just have this weird memory where I remember, important stuff, obviously. Some things are important, but some things are just worthless. Or I could tell you one of my earliest memories with James as well. You know, it's like, and I have no business remembering this stuff. But, of course, Demo, our meeting, or the birth of our friendship had to be the Spider-Man t-shirts, right?
Of course.
The matching Spider-Man t-shirts.
Of course, I'm glad you remembered.
Always.
I'm glad you remembered. So, yeah, we would
let
go
me
to
in
the
on
same,
this.
like, summer camp, sort of, we call it playground, and grew up in the same town. So we actually were friends before we were stepbros. So that was an interesting dynamic. It was fun. It was
Incredibly
amazing.
fun.
Yeah, amazing to have one of your best friends as your stepbrother. Like, are you kidding? Oh, good memes, good memes. I slept on the futon next to Brad's bed, and our heads were aligned too, which I always thought was like kind of weird.
Times.
But
No, I
like,
mean,
Well, because
so
you wanted
like
to talk to each other,
it was like
right?
this. Like
Yeah,
my
we
head
talked.
were my head was
Yeah.
here. Brad.
there was
Brad's
maybe a foot and a half of separation.
Just if
Yeah.
I put my feet towards him, that's disrespectful.
Well, and
Yeah, you
then
don't
you're
want
like
that.
farther away, and then you can't whisper as easily
Yeah.
because you're not
Yeah.
supposed to stay up till 3 a.m., but you're doing it anyway.
We had the world's first flat screen television, which
Oh, I just got rid of that
it's so
a few
heavy.
weeks ago. Me and Colin M. One of the there are two heavy. All right, I can tell you right now. This is a little sidebar. Two heaviest things I've ever carried in my life. Now, mind you, worked out my entire life. I've lifted a lot of weight, heavy weights.
It's just
Not
so
bragging.
awkwardly shaped. though.
Yes, me and Colin struggled to carry this TV. Philip, we might have weighed. God, I don't even know.
It looked like a flat. It
was a
looked like
flat
a box.
screen.
It was a flat
You
screen.
guys were like you're both like 6 foot tall, very muscular.
Thank you for doing me the justice of 6 feet.
No amount of
I'm clipping that forever.
no amount of strength. You could have the two bodybuilders trying to move this thing. It wouldn't matter. It's awkward,
It's
right?
so awkward,
it's
and
one
it
of
cuts
those-
your hands.
Yeah,
it's
oh
like
my
sharp
gosh,
on its
it was-
ends.
One of those flat screens that's like actually like 2 feet deep.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
from
yeah.
front
yeah,
to
it's a
back.
huge
That's what it was.
box.
Yeah.
Me and him carried that down the steps and into a truck. And then another thing I helped
TV's so heavy.
me and Sam. They had an issue with their house, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
They had to remodel the entire house, and we had a granite countertop. It was the heaviest thing I ever carried in my life. A granite countertop. Me and Sam carried this thing from his kitchen down the steps into the
No
garage.
way.
Heaviest thing. When I dropped
Yeah,
it, I
man.
couldn't. It
are heavy as
probably
fuck.
took 4 minutes in total to do. I was done for like 3 days.
Yeah.
My back, my
Dude,
arms,
you're not even supposed
everything.
to lift it like
no,
that,
it was
man.
like.
You gotta have. There's
Like
like
those strap
special
things?
Yeah,
suction
straps
cups
and stuff like that. Yeah, I know
straps,
exactly
or
what you mean.
There's like straight up suction cups that give you leverage. It's amazing.
Huh.
Or today I actually dropped off some. It was like Schluter profiles to a
what?
tile Schluter profiles.
I don't know what that means.
I could explain it.
Sure.
So like if you have, let's say you're gonna tile the lobby of a waiting room. Oh yeah, like
is it those things that,
of like a dentist's office, right?
Separate the.
Yeah. So it just separates, like if you want carpet out of the lobby, but then like in the lobby tile, it basically is that separation. It gives you a nice finished edge, they call it. It's amazing. They're everywhere and they're invisible, but they make a difference. Anyway. So I was at a Tile and Stone place, and they had on the forklift this like crazy ass crane with like a clamp that was on the tile, like the marble fucking countertop that you picked up with your hands, carrying it. Like people aren't doing that, so like kudos to you. for
That
moving
thing
that
probably
TV.
had to weigh a couple $100.
Oh my gosh,
Easy.
more. Yeah, a couple hundred, yes. But it's like I want to know how much exactly because it was awkward. But I don't think it was like 1,100 pounds.
Well, no,
something
I mean
like
that'd
that.
Yeah.
just be insane. Like,
So-
only 2 people are carrying that, but yeah.
What was it like growing up where we lived for you? How? Because like obviously I have my own take on it and journey, but I always wanted to hear yours.
Yeah. I don't know. Growing up in the area, right? And I think that's okay to say, right? You know, whatever.
At this point they could dox us.
If someone
they
really
wanted
wanted
to.
to
Right, I mean, who-
They
investigate,
really wanted.
All right. So let's just say, you know,
That's where we're at.
it would say we'll edit that Eastern Pennsylvania, right?
Sure,
Whatever.
Yeah.
okay.
It's fine. I don't want to dox
You've said
anybody.
it several times, so it's fine.
Yeah.
No
All
worries.
right.
We're good.
I didn't even realize.
Yeah. It's
So.
all right.
Continue.
The whole thing is, I don't want to keep dying, but where we grew up is the underprivileged area of our area, right? Quote unquote. Right. And this is of
Okay,
our,
yeah.
let me just say of our school district,
Yeah.
because
That's
definitely
fair
not
opinion.
definitely not of
Yeah.
our area. And the thing is, me personally, I never really bought into that or realized that or saw that, right? I've had millions of conversations with peers and they think, oh no, I felt like I was lesser or I felt inadequate
Yeah.
or this and that. And I just personally never did. Maybe that's the people I associated with, maybe my friends and like I said, the people I associated with just didn't bring that up or stuff like that.
Right.
And I had my friends who all lived in the area and then
Yeah.
as we grew older and expanded our social groups, you know, people in all the entire area.
It didn't. Yeah.
But I think that as I've gone away, you know, and like I said, I was telling you earlier, I feel like I haven't really gone too far, but going to see other schools in my studies, I actually have seen underprivileged areas and where. And this stuff happens everywhere. In our schools, there are people who don't have electricity on. There are people who don't have running water. And now, it might not be for their entire time, you know, but it might be temporary. But we don't think about that. But a lot of people have a generalization about where we went to school, and it's that. But every school has this. But I see schools where they keep the lights off in a certain area of the building because there's less traffic there to save money, right? To cut corners wherever possible.
Right.
Where teachers are doing laundry of their students, stuff because they don't have wash. You know what I mean? They don't have water, stuff like that.
Wow.
So when I look back and I hear some of the conversations that I've heard in the classroom, and it's like, or I think back on the things that people have told me how they have been made to feel. It's like, no, we didn't have it bad, right? We're not,
we did not.
underprivileged at all, right? We have a beautiful community where we grew up, where we have the summer camp, we have the very nice pool, we have nice parks, you know what I mean? All this stuff where you don't have that in other areas. Now, obviously, a community has their, you know, every place is home and feels like something is special to somebody. For most people, it's not always like, oh, I got to get out of here.
Right.
But I never really had an issue growing up where we did, or you know, in my main area, in a greater area.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's definitely critiques and issues in every place, like I said earlier. But and there's a lot of, you know, where we live, there's a lot of BS, right, that we all know about.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, but that again, that's everywhere. You're not going to go anywhere without gossip and drama.
I think the difference is how unique our situation was, because it's not very common. It is and it isn't. Like, we came from a private school sized public school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the culture
Very true.
was that of almost a private school, but with still some elements of public school feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you know, you've been in that building quite a bit. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
A little too much.
does it? Am I wrong?
No,
like,
no, you're
that's
absolutely
definitely
right.
the
It's
atmosphere.
a small, you have that. It's a
So-
private school. It really is, and having have been in private schools, you do see that, and compared to public schools, where it's like you see, oh, why isn't this student here?
Right.
Oh, he doesn't show up on Thursdays because he has a job and he does that, or, you know, whatever. He takes care of grandma, stuff like that. It's like, well, that wouldn't happen, right? They'd send someone to our house, right? If we didn't show up on Wednesdays or whatever, you know what I mean? Right?
Just
like
not like show up to school. Like, my mom was like,
Wasn't
oh,
it-
like
it-
you'll be truant, blah blah blah. You know, you at one point missed a lot of school due to health.
Well, I mean, I mostly think what happened was, like, once Dad died, I didn't want to go to school, so I tricked my body into feeling unhealthy all the time because I didn't want to go, so I was constantly looking for an excuse. I was just always having fevers and just wasn't going to school. I really think that's what it was.
I believe that you were experiencing symptoms, but exactly like you said, I kind of had this notion that was the underlying
Yeah,
issue.
I bet you I made myself sick.
Yeah, so
'Cause I really think
that
that's
was
possible.
tough. But yeah, in general, I think so. I moved probably when I was 11 or 12 from my original house up the street from Brad, down the street, whatever. And I moved to the. It's kind of tiered. I hate to like just call out our area like this, but it's like where I started out, and then where I am now, and then like the central part of like just that area.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how I felt too, especially going from, where we were up. So like I got both of the experiences, and I never felt like being from West Reading. Dang. See, it's just so hard to do.
It's whatever. I don't think that anyone's going to sit here and
like,
go find our information.
What are you going to do to me? Like, I'm literally
take my identity.
So worthless. Like,
I'm not concerned about it.
Yeah, whatever. So, yeah, like, living in West Reading, I never really felt that sort of judgment, but I could see how others do.
Yeah, it's definitely, there is a thing, and people, children are cruel, right? They really are, and they can be, rather, let me say that.
Super honest. Even... Yeah.
They might look at you and say, "Oh, you wore that shirt 3 days this week," or you wear those same shoes every day in the school year. I used to get made fun
of for wearing striped shirts.
How
freaking stupid is that?
It's petty, and
it's
but again, that's not just unique to our area. That's everywhere.
Got nothing going on, man. Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, people resort to violence when they got nothing better going on.
Yeah.
Every single time. It's like, why do you have to make people feel bad? Mm-hmm. For what? Like, it's in truth, like, you're in high school every single day. You're surrounded by the same people.
Boosting your ego feels good.
A majority of your life.
Yeah.
So, ups and downs for sure. I love my, childhood memories with both of you guys. Because when I moved, that's when I really started to become friends with you, Phil.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was definitely just fond moments, man. Life was good. But so thanks for the nostalgic little trip. Now we're gonna move into, oh my goodness, that was a nice convo. Okay, so actually we kind of already eased into it. So how big of a role did school play in your development?
Such a huge part. Just, I was thinking about the time I've spent in the school recently. Because I'm like, besides my house, working in this building, right? And coming back and being an employee in that building, it's like I've spent the most time in my life, besides my house, maybe Cabrini University's campus.
I bet it feels kind of trippy teaching kids at the school that you went to high school at, right?
Yeah, it is strange, but for the most part nowadays, there's only a couple people who know, me, as some people would know me, siblings of friends, stuff like that. But, what was the question?
How do you think?
School being an influence on me. Yeah. Sorry. But no, but school being an influence on me, it's not necessarily so much school, but it's like the people around me, right?
Yeah,
my friends,
I kind of meant more
being my home situation was fun. It was less than ideal, I guess. It was unconventional. I'll say that, right? Perfectly fine. Yeah, everyone has their things that happen and stuff like that. Where I found peace, right, is in. And I know we're talking about mentors and stuff,
right?
Eventually, but you both probably know, all my coaches, right? My teachers and my coaches, and I found mentorship, parental figures, right? Role models, whatever you want to call them, right? In these people, and you asked me if it's weird teaching students. It's like, no, what's weird is being kind of like friends almost at this point with these people, right?
Yeah,
with these,
I used to be one of these little squirts.
Yeah, and being like, oh,
this was my next question.
Yeah.
See, you're right on track. This is the flow.
You got that consciousness.
Right, it's a connection.
So, but we don't have to name names.
Sure.
You could maybe just abbreviate their names to one letter.
Most of my coaches, almost all the coaches, right? Football, wrestling.
Is Mr. V still there?
Yeah, he teaches. He's still at the middle school. Okay. He does still. I'm pretty sure he still coaches. He's definitely involved. He's a basketball coach as well. Okay. I saw him in the building a couple months ago.
Does he not teach gym anymore?
I think he does.
Okay.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Definitely one that, like, this thing is, like, most of these people are good people.
Yes.
And I think that goes a long way.
Yeah.
That we were surrounded by mostly, and I shouldn't say that, like, mostly, like, pretty much everyone that I know at that school is a good person. But yeah, I mean, my coaches, like I said, I see, like I said, I've spent a lot of time there. It's like I spent most of my time with these men and women, right, and teachers as well. Right, so it's like I have mentorship and like I said, everything, parental figures, stuff like this, and I learned a lot of life from these people. Now, again, you can't live life like it's a football game or a wrestling match,
Right, of course.
But
what did sports teach you? That was my next question.
well, the importance of teammates and camaraderie, obviously, right? That's
course,
stuff,
that's
the brotherhood,
just,
stuff like that. I think the idea of that Coach W used to always say, our 6 a.m. workouts, right, is brotherhood through common suffering.
I like that a lot.
It's such a thing,
I like
right?
that.
Once you're in the shit with some people, like, that's when you form a real bond, right? And now, obviously, like, there's levels to that. Waking up at 6 in the morning and training isn't very, down bad. But once you go through stuff like that with people, you're in good shape.
I always wondered if our training programs were truly the best to get us where we needed to go.
I think mentally, probably. Maybe physically, there could have been more, obviously.
I think it just could have been better balanced in retrospect.
I think nowadays it's better.
Yeah,
from what I'm told.
That's good.
I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I'm only involved in the wrestling, so I don't know about, like, all the training programs
Just
that they
like
have
15 years old, right? Like, they're blasting music. Everyone would grab a dumb bar. Is that what they're called?
Dumbbell.
No.
A dumb bar is an individual.
That's
We all know. Not a dumb bar. But like an Olympic bar.
Yes.
You'd grab an Olympic bar, or if not, you'd grab like whatever bar you could bicep curl, basically.
Yeah.
And they'd blast music, and you would literally rep like to exhaustion. For multiple sets. Multiple sets. And I know Phil.
Sorry, I just want to share a story quick because this was really funny to me. I woke up at like 3 a.m. one day because I just like couldn't sleep. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna come out into like the living room and I'm gonna work out.
Yeah.
So I am a very verbal, yelling, expressive person when I'm pushing. And my girlfriend was in bed sleeping, and she wakes up to me like like making these noises, and she comes like running out like, oh my god, are you okay? And then she just sees me like working out. And I don't know, it just made me think of that like
well, you're doing a workout
way.
right now that does those max outs, like you're maxing out, but it's for one set.
Yeah, and it just makes me think of back in when we were like lifting class and stuff, and we just blasting music, and you just got a bunch of dudes in this gym just powering out weights and everything. It was freaking insane.
It's a little bit of ego lifting, but I think as things go on, from what you're saying, they're already adopting different, workouts.
Are they less hard on like kids with lifting? Or, I mean,
probably still hard. I don't think it should be soft.
It's just like
for sure.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know, I'm not exactly sure. I just know that it's changed, right?
Okay.
That's what I'm told.
But like it's kind of that mental snowball that we talk about. Like you start so like football, like you start in the summer lifting. Actually, you start before that. You start when the season ends. You're doing winter lifting in the morning
to prepare for next season.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to get the ball rolling. Lifting has nothing to do with playing the sport of football. It is just purely the physical aspect of being able to do these things in the first place. So you get the ball rolling, you start doing that. Summer comes around. That's when they kick in cardio. And they 40-40s. Huh. You kidding me?
Hell.
In August?
What are 40-40s?
Exactly that. 40-yard dashes.
That's ridiculous. That sounds
it
like
really
death.
was.
That sounds like the pacer test, but worse.
I'm no math expert.
It's a mile
but that's
sprinting, I'm pretty sure.
It's a football field of sprinting. 16. 40.
It's like 1,600 yards, I think. Yeah. Look at us.
16.
I don't know anything about how long a football field. I don't know anything about football.
100 yards.
100 yards is a football field.
Yep.
Okay.
So you're running that 16 times.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous.
Outrageous.
Yeah. So they would do that after your workout.
Wow.
In the August heat.
Yeah. So like you're 15, 16
Some people are
years
300
old.
pounds.
You're throwing up. Not me and Joe.
God bless him.
He would. Gotta give him credit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, tough guy.
He persevered mentally. You know, that takes another level. Physically, you know, they're just, you know, it was what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But the mental toughness to finish. I've seen people just walk right off.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're just like, I'm done. No,
Yeah.
it's not for me. So yeah, you get the ball rolling, you start doing that, and then by like end of summer, you're doing the worst thing, which is 2-a-days. And that's essentially you wake up at 5, you get there on the field by 6. I would pile my car with like Sam, like all those guys in my neighborhood, in our neighborhood. We'd go and just you get suited up. You're tired as hell. You're like, so it's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks of that. The first week you're in shock. You're just like going. You're like a zombie almost. Like you're just going.
You survive on ibuprofen and Gatorade.
You don't even think. Like I don't even recall like having thoughts. Like I would just literally
Think
be
about
like,
the opium den, environment.
The coach would come in and it smells like a damn opium den in here.
We just have we bring in all the pads, right? We play like some somber music.
Some like low R&B.
Yeah,
like, just keeping it chill.
And then just like and had the lights off and just like lay on the football pads. It like and it was really weird.
Like so they like rouse us basically. They'd be like, get up.
Jeez.
But
So,
that
yeah,
was hell. But it's like that was a good memory.
It's all this.
Huh.
It's really like the physical aspects there. As
Like
long
the
as
mental
you're
exhaustion.
as long as you're relatively in shape, you will survive.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
But like the mental exhaustion's crazy. Oh my god, we'd have some big brute like linemen. It'd be at the end of August, like the hottest summer days. They're just like taking cold, iced up towels and just dumping them on the lineman. Like just like I'd see a dude, he'd have like 3 on him, he'd be throwing up. You know what I'm talking about? CC baby. Oh my god.
Oh,
He was a crazy dude. Like he grabbed me the one time, I was just like boom, boom,
Just
boom, boom,
outrageous.
just like just nuts.
Dude.
That's the corniness I'm talking about.
yeah.
Okay.
Because like
Unnecessary.
Is it?
Well, I think it has a place. But looking back, was that necessary to do all that?
There's
No.
a line.
You could just kind of shake somebody and be like, come on, let's go, baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
have to bash somebody's head in.
Yeah.
Concussions are a thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Speaking of which, David N got like 3 concussions from football or something.
Yeah, he was
within,
in
like,
bad
those
shape.
few
Yeah,
years
in
of high
general, he got, I know, a big concussion in college playing rugby kind of did him in. Not like
Yeah, I
that,
heard
but
about
like
that.
he that one really, affected him. And that's kind of the scary thing with concussions is like you really don't know the damage, or like I guarantee you I've had concussions and I played. That is
Exactly.
just a thing. I don't know why people don't talk about it, but everyone that played football, if you actually played, like you got a concussion at some point, no doubt.
Jeez. It's ridiculous.
So yeah, you really don't know how much it affects people. It is a brutal sport. I remember the one JV game where Sam.
Sammy!
Oh man, dude, his arm
I know exactly
was
what you're talking
just like bonk. Like it
Did
was
it break?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it happened right in front of me.
No, the Sammy one
Yeah.
was funny.
Yeah, that was funny
That's a
too.
good one. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, that
my
sounds
God.
so gross.
I remember that though. Yeah, that was scary.
Oh, that's
One time I just landed on my knee really awkwardly. I like kind of was like thrown, and it was like the outside of my left knee first impact on the ground, like just took all the weight of me falling. And I remember feeling like instantly like, oh no, like the adrenaline just
issue.
kicked in. Like I was like, this doesn't feel right. So I hobble over the sideline. I'm like, I can't put weight on it. I'm like, what the heck? Dude, I like strained it.
Do you still feel
bruised
that
it.
to this day?
Probably. In
Probably some sort of
If I like
residual.
really
Not
focus,
like
I know
noticeably.
my sprained ankle, the one where Josh tripped me, and I got wheeled around in the wheelchair in school.
I feel like I remember that.
yeah.
I feel like
Yeah,
I
I
remember
feel
that
that
early on.
wheelchair,
I
yeah.
feel that. So
Dang.
yeah, sports super intense. I mean, some of them are chill. Like I talk about it all the time. Volleyball, amazing. I would, if my kid was like, I want to play volleyball. I'd be like, please, let's do it. Let's. I will teach you the little things that I know, and then hopefully we can get you in like a club sport, or like just get you some training so that you get good at it.
Brad, I do have like kind of 2 questions at once for you. Like, what's your favorite part about teaching wrestling, and also what do you feel like the kids have taught you?
favorite part about teaching wrestling is I can kind of right the wrongs of the past, right? And I know it sounds very dramatic, right? But my thing is this. I work with mostly the heavyweights. Now that I'm kind of official coach, I walk around a little bit more, make sure everyone's doing everything right, stuff like that. But my main focus is on heavyweights and 215, upper weights, let's say that. Where this kid I'm working with, he's like 240 during the season. Now he's big. He's like 250. And that's what neither here nor there. He was like, "Oh, I'm getting dizzy." I'm like, "Get some water."
Yeah,
I have passed out in a practice before, right? It's like you don't need to do that, right? We don't need that. And now that because I'm not going to say I'm calling the shots, but it's like I have some authority, right? I can say, "Go get some, drink water. Go drink water." And then that sounds like this.
Before your other coach might have been like, "Keep pushing."
Yeah, and now obviously it's the same thing where it's like, did I need to pass out? Could I have gotten some water? Yes, but I'm not going to walk out if I'm not told. You know what I mean? It's stuff like that. Right?
So now you feel like you can kind of
now
enable them.
I can say, Dude, again, it all goes back to being
like
healthy
you want
and
water,
doing
get
stuff, right?
water,
I want people to be healthy and
that goes a long way for that kid too.
It does, right?
Yeah,
because everyone knows wrestling to be like this hard, crazy thing. It is. It needs to be intense, but it's not like.
I think it's also how you get your team to buy in. I think you're such an amazing leader in that sense because like you're showing, hey, like if you go get some water, figure your stuff out there for a second. Come back, we're going to have an intense practice and we're good to go.
Yeah. Water
under the bridge. I'm not going to like make you do anything extra or anything like that. So it's kind of this new school, old school that I see you kind of still taking from old school.
Yeah. And that kind of goes into the mentor thing, like about, especially with coaches and stuff. It's like you can't base your life, like I said earlier about like you can't base it on being a wrestler or a football player or whatever, but you can take these things and you can't base how you're going to be a teacher or a wrestling coach on a certain person, right? You need to take some from all of your coaches and your teachers and all your mentors. And yet, you can't forget about probably the most important thing, yourself, right? Put yourself in there, right? You don't want to be the next Coach F. You want to be Coach G. You know what I mean? Right? You want to, so.
But you still take away from Coach F, too.
Of course.
I think there are things, and I have nothing against the man. I did disrespect him in the spring. That's neither here nor there, but idiom. Shout out to idiom. Communication and culture is the episode. Go check it out. Shameless plug. But I still think I do take away certain things from him that like I can respect him for.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And I feel that way about a lot of people. It's like ideologically, I don't fully stand eye to eye with you, but I can respect you and like understand you.
Right.
How are kids different from when we were, those kids, or are they pretty much the same?
Well, there's a lot of with wrestling or just like in general.
Yeah, I guess since like you're in the classroom now too, you kind of see all of it. Let's just go with classroom just to be more general.
Sure. With the classroom, like, gosh, I'll tell you, right now, for the past couple of months, I've been mostly dealing with 8th and 9th graders.
Yikes.
I have a 12-year-old brother, right, as well. So, like, this is all... Man. Yeah, I know.
I'm old.
It's weird.
I'm old, dude.
Oh, my gosh. Wait, he's 12 now?
Yeah.
What the heck?
But these age of boys might be just the worst. Because here's the thing. Like, 13, 14, 12, 13, 14-year-old boys. Girls, for the most part, have their stuff figured out, right? They're chill, for the most part. Boys, there are some who are chill. There are some who are completely just like, if I could just show you how you are being perceived by your classmates and not just your little 4 or 5 buddies here in this corner, you would immediately cease your behavior, right? And you would change yourself.
Oh my God, you just need to say that,
right?
Like,
I know, and the thing is...
I wish you could talk like you do to us, to your kids. I hope you do.
Oh, I do. I try.
I feel like that's not a horrible thing to say to a kid.
No, it's not. And the thing is, like, don't get me wrong. Part of the thing that's, like, kind of interesting about me is, or, just kind of unique about being a young teacher, maybe, is, like, this stuff makes me laugh. Like, they'll say something inappropriate. Not like go to the office inappropriate, but like something that just doesn't need to be said or something like that. Or I'll over here, and I'm just like,
oh no,
I'm trying not to laugh. It's like, I'm the authority, right? I can't laugh at this kid's dumb joke. This is inappropriate. We're not talking about this right now.
I'm glad that you're able to draw that line because I would definitely be more of a friend than a teacher. I think I'm not. That's why I'm not cut out for a primary education teaching job. I always kind of wanted to teach college because I feel like I have that kind of zest to just like relate.
Like you can deal with mature.
You'd
like,
be a nice new age
people.
professor.
Yeah, you know, just
Yeah.
like
Like
come in.
Yeah, like an adjunct.
You know, like
Yeah.
like hey, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, drawing that line is super crucial in the classroom. That age group in particular. I mean, just thinking back, what I was doing, it's like you're starting to discover the world, right? Like you're slowly but surely being accepted into the adult realm at like 13 years old. You're like, okay, now I can stay up late and watch like late night TV shows or whatever. Like it's sort of a transitional. So yeah, they're just wilding out and like they really don't know either like their own power or just their own
stupidity
identity.
Yeah, it's like some of the stuff that I hear. And that's another thing. It's like, because I'm always like, whenever I'm in a conversation, and like maybe somebody says something about somebody across a room or something, and this is just like at a restaurant or something. It's like, oh, quiet down. It's like they can't hear you. They can't hear me. It's like, no, they probably can. You should hear some of the things that I've heard from across the room. Is like, and I will never call anybody out, right? Unless someone's just being. My whole thing is, you're not going to get me to raise my voice unless you're being outright disrespectful to your classmates or me, which doesn't really happen, but. Like,
have you had to?
I've raised my voice one time, and I didn't yell. I just kind of was like, I just raised my voice, right? I just said, like, somebody, they didn't do what I asked, and I gave them multiple chances. And I was like, no. See, it was a presentation. It's like, no, you're not going now. They're like, well, we want to go first. I said, well, I gave you the opportunity to go first. And you didn't do what I asked you to do. They had to make a change in their slide because something was inappropriate because they're a 13-year-old boy. And I was like, I told you to remove that from your slide, and you didn't, right? And of course, I'm saying this a little louder for the sake of Philip's editing. I'm not going to do that.
Just setting the precedent, man.
Yeah, I mean,
control the classroom.
Like I said, my whole thing is like, I'm not going unless you disrespect your classmates or myself or the environment, whatever. My main thing is respect. I can laugh, I can roll with the jokes, I can do that, and I can just say, all right, everybody, settle down, right? And that's it. I don't know. Maybe I never had an issue of anyone just coming out and being like, I'm not listening to you or this and that. Maybe it's just because of my size and I'm a man, because it does play a part, right? If I was some timid little guy, it might be different. But I feel like I have some kind of presence to me.
If someone was like 6'3" and they're like 13 years old, I'm like,
yikes.
I just have to see. I would probably have to be a little more fiery, and I don't know if that's just because like I'm out of average height, but like I feel like I don't have a commanding enough presence, and I think that's something like. You want to know what's insane? Like the first day of class where like you've had a teacher, you're walking into a class with a teacher you've never had before. Because, like, I kid you not, that teacher walks into the room, it's like all of the focus is on them.
Yeah. That is something that really, it's funny that you say that because that is one of the things that made me realize I'm like, this is difficult, right? This is exhausting. Mm-hmm. When no one really has not many people I should say, has 25 students for 40 minutes staring at them, expecting them to provide for them, right? For those 41 minutes, right? Yeah, and that's 6 times a day. So it's, do the math, whatever. Let's say 120 students over the course of the day look to you for that 41 minutes, right? And you have to, I feel like I have to be on, I feel like I have to be providing something for them or wasting time. Now, realistically, it's like, it doesn't need to be. Those 40 minutes don't need to be filled with me speaking and me providing them with instruction or direction, right? It can be, all right, let's take a little moment, take some attendance, have a little bit of, did you do anything fun this weekend? Yeah, stuff like that, some icebreakers, whatever, just to kind of get the ball rolling. But then it's like, my first couple of weeks, I was like, coming home and I'm just like going to bed, right? It was exhausting. Yeah, and I'm like, this is really tough. Because no one has that attention on them, right? Everyone says, "Oh, I want attention, I want this and that," but when you have it,
from it's such a concentrated amount,
it's like, all right, wait. When I get home, I literally, when I get in my car, like deep breath. It's like relax my shoulders a little bit.
Right. Like, and there's nuances to the attention too, because there's also the structure of like you are the instructor, they are the student. So it's like there's a whole element of that, and then you obviously want to have your students perform well because your success is based on their success.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to give a name here because I don't even want to put that out there at all. But, Derek, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
They were, we had this amazing teacher for our creative writing class. He was very young. I mean, I'm sure he was probably only like 27. And it was like mixed ages. I think it was like freshmen to seniors. And there were these two freshmen just literally like smacking the shit out of each other, just like hitting each other and like knocking over chairs and stuff and being insane. And he just yells at them. He's like, guys, he's like, you stop right now or I'm sending you to the fucking office. And he just like yells at them. And the just room goes silent. We were like, oh shit. And I'm like, that's kind of like the level that you're saying you don't want to get to, right? Like, you don't want to have to, like it's one thing being, like, authoritative, but you don't want to yell. And you also don't want to curse at them.
The tin.
You know what I'm talking about. One of my favorite teachers.
Oh, yeah.
No spoilers, but we're having his daughter on the podcast.
Yeah? Wonderful.
Yeah.
Cool, that'd be cool.
That's going to be a great conversation.
Oh,
that is going to be awesome.
Yeah. I love bringing back people.
He's a great, I'm right next to him, you know what I mean, now, because I'm in for Mrs. G's sub, Spanish, I don't know.
Yeah,
I know. So I'm right there, I'm right next to his room, so I'm always talking to him.
Oh, yeah.
Great person.
Fantastic person.
But, yeah, you're not going to get me, especially in a group of 8th and 9th graders, you're not going to get me a curse ever, right?
Yeah, right?
Just because, now maybe with seniors, that's a different story, right? You can get away with some things, right?
Definitely.
But just where I am in my career and with these, you have to be aware, right? And now, I'm sure that teacher may have just lost, I'm sure it is a lot. And I've had students put, not fighting, that sounds like more of like an actual, like, disruptive fight, right? I have students who are like, messing, pushing, whatever.
Right, just
and
roughhousing.
And the only thing I'll say is, like, can we please keep our hands to ourselves, right? And that normally stops it. Because, again,
especially in the COVID climate, come on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but let me tell you, kids, for the most part, do not care about COVID.
Oh, wait, yeah, that's a good question. Like, are kids, like, are they wearing masks
the
whole time in class?
I am. The teachers are. The students are as well. But they don't. I never had an issue where it's like, hey, pull up your mask, maybe a couple times. But it's like, because a student will be eating something and they'll have it down and they won't put it back up. And it's like, hey, put that on. And mostly I don't really notice unless someone else notices and says something.
Right.
But that doesn't happen very often. But they'll still like, oh, can I have some chips or whatever? And it's like, maybe as a classroom teacher, I should be like, hey, no sharing, no, obviously. But it's like kind of, it doesn't need to be spoken. We're in a pandemic, but they don't care.
Right.
You know what I mean? And should they? Yes, obviously they should, but it's like in their shoes, It's whatever to them. They don't understand, right? And I don't want to take away like their. I don't want to. I shouldn't say that they don't understand, but I get it. Like, I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Not really caring, right?
Well, yeah, because like when you're a kid, like especially when you're getting like older, like you just become more aware, but you're not added with responsibilities. Well, maybe you are in some cases. Like, hey, if you have to get a job at 15, we worked summers, but that's not adult life. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you have access now, especially like when you're a senior, like I'm watching whatever the hell I want. I'm going out late, like I'm doing that whole thing, and you just get this responsibility dropped on you, and then you're just out in the world. And it's like, what did I learn from that? So it's cool that you like mix new school, old school, that like you still maintain that order. You're not gonna like let the hierarchy sort of, like, you're not going to let that line sort of fade away. Like, you're the teacher, you're the instructor, you are the authority figure. That is fine, but you're fair, you're patient, and you take the time to actually teach these kids.
Yeah, I try my best. And like the thing about my current position where I'm teaching Spanish, right? My certification is English. Right, and I was teaching English for a while. Teacher came back from leave, and then I was daily subbing, right, just standard stuff, right, normal substitute duties. Then I got put in this, and I'll tell you this story now since I'm going into it. I was daily subbing for a while, and like that was just random stuff. You come in, it was super easy now. It's just, all right, hey, okay, your teacher says go and do this on Schoology. Let me know if you have any questions. That's literally what it is now.
What?
It's not hard at all. It was too boring. I said I read Slaughterhouse-Five in 3 days because I would spend 40 minutes reading. Yeah. I read books.
Wow.
That's what I would do. Then I'm told, hey, Brad.
Oh, wait, sorry. Side note about that. Yeah, for anyone who hasn't heard about the book club, Slaughterhouse-Five, that's on the reading list. So
buy the book.
Do your reading. Anyway, sorry, Brad, continue.
Slaughterhouse-Five, like I said, a great book. But Kurt Vonnegut's a great author. Anyway, I go into school, or I get a call rather. Hey, Brad, it's so-and-so from school. Yeah, what's up? hey, the Spanish sub, so the sub left, just quit, whatever, okay.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, it was a long-term Spanish sub. She dipped out, though. I was like, all right, hey, Brad, can you teach the Spanish class for 2 weeks? Yeah, sure, no problem. Sounds good. I'll be in, tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Come in, go there. They hand me a laptop, an iPad again. And I had the stuff when I was teaching English. And I'm like, because I didn't have it when I was daily subbing. I didn't need it. And I'm like, what's this for? Because that's like the Zoom calls are on Cisco WebEx. And it's all right, but it's like that. I was hosting them during the long-term sub, and I didn't need to during the daily sub. If you needed a sub during the if it was just normal sub, you don't. The WebEx kids, the Wave students, the virtual kids, they didn't even come to class, right? It was like, they would maybe get sent an email. Huh. But I'm getting this sub. I'm like, wait, what? And Mrs. G Short comes into the classroom, and she's like, hey, let me know what help you need or anything. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? I didn't realize that I had taken the long-term sub job to teach Spanish.
You're like, wait, what?
It was really funny. So I'm like, what did I do? I need to learn how to say no. And the funny thing is, it's been a great experience. But I think this comes into a whole different part of teaching and kind of not since I'm looking for new jobs and I'm thinking, okay, let's go think about Pittsburgh area, Philadelphia area, because I just want a job, right? I'll take what I can get, and there's nothing wrong with teaching in a city, right? But you need to realize that you're not going to be teaching necessarily underprivileged. In some, yes, but it's like you're not going to be teaching Shakespeare to a kid who is working every day after school, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You're going to be teaching life. You need to teach. You need to be a teacher, an educator, a life coach, right? A mentor,
right?
And that's a lot of things that a lot of new teachers who say, "Oh, I'm going to change the world, and I'm going to go into inner city Philadelphia and teach," and then they say, you always hear, "Oh, they last like a year and they quit." Well, that's because you're not going to be able. I can go ahead and say, okay, let me tell you how to use the Oxford comma, when to use it and when not to, grammatically, blah blah blah, and that's great, and you might learn something. But it's like, what does that mean to someone who is worried about where they're going to get their next meal? You know what I mean?
Right.
What does that mean to someone whose mom is sick with, has an illness or something like that?
And the last thing they do care about is how to use an Oxford comma.
Right. They don't care, right? And or should they at that moment? That's something that I think a lot of teachers need to realize, especially during the pandemic, right? You have no idea. I have no idea what's happening.
So many people lost their jobs. I bet people's parents or even grandparents got sick and potentially even died.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, I'm not going to give you a late penalty on the homework because for all I know, right, like you have stuff going on at home. Who am I to say, hey, you didn't turn that Romeo and Juliet quiz in? No, you can't retake it. What? It's like, there's a pandemic going on.
Right.
Now, of course, there are some students wwho are just lazy and don't want to do it.
Right.
And that's fine, but,
But you can kind of tell who those people are.
Oh, yeah,
right?
you can definitely tell. And if they're going to do that, then that's on them, right? If they're going to take advantage of your empathy and your kindness, that's on them, right? They have to sleep with themselves at night. And I'm going to be all right. It's whatever to me.
That's a great way of looking at it, because I think that's why a lot of teachers quit, is just, like people taking advantage of your empathy, people taking advantage of your desire to enlighten and teach kids. And maybe it is the kids, but that's not so much as bad as the administration, the public school system, and the powers that be in that realm taking advantage of teachers, which happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no wonder, the education system in America is so bad because it's just so financially flawed. It's so organizationally flawed. There's just a lot of holes. I think of, I can just say Mr. McBee because, well.
Yeah, dude's out. He's out of the game.
My guy.
Mm-hmm.
Nice guy.
Had a huge impact on me and you.
Yeah.
Probably was my favorite teacher. Wrote my college recommendation.
Yeah, definitely my favorite teacher for a while. Yeah, 100%.
And he was one of those people where, like, you respected him and his aura so much that you wanted to pay attention.
And you wanted to impress him.
Mm-hmm.
You were like,
right.
Yeah.
But they just never gave him... And granted, he was asking to teach, like, older kids, because he told us we were, like, seniors taking creative writing or whatever, and he was like, I can't stand these younger kids. He's like, there's nothing that I can do, I try and like speak to them and relate to them and do
You don't
whatever I
take
can.
it. Yeah.
And his classroom didn't have any windows,
Oh,
just
That
messing
makes
him
sense.
up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he said he
like
was
yeah.
miserable.
Remember he had
Yeah.
the vitamin D like light.
Yeah.
That's a thing?
Yeah, like he said, like I remember talking to him about that. He was like, "Oh, this light's supposed to give me like vitamin D." I'm like, "All right, cool."
Yeah.
Because he was so upset about not having windows.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
He's the
It's
kind
one
of
those
guy
rare
that we
rooms,
need.
I
Like, I bet you if he's not like forever away as far as distance, like I bet you he would podcast with us. Like,
I have
Probably
no
would.
clue what
How
this
to
guy
even-
No,
is.
I
No.
I
Have him
tracked
on
him down.
Facebook.
I
Where
tracked him
is
down. I have him on Facebook too, but the thing is, like, he's one of those people who don't use it.
Yeah.
right, of course.
But I don't know. I was like, every now and then I look for people, right?
Right.
You ever think about somebody? It's like, what are they up to right now, right? And you look them up and
yeah,
stuff like that.
like mini stalker mode for just
Yeah,
like 10
no,
minutes.
I mean,
Really,
I
it's
mean,
like that's-
everybody
Just like,
does
what's
it.
going
Don't-
on?
We
Yeah.
can't pretend people aren't.
If your information's out there, that's on you.
So I was looking
Yeah,
up.
true.
I was looking him up one day, and I was like, "Oh, I finally found him." Yeah, I don't know. It was just like,
Yeah,
I
you're
know it
like,
sounds
there you
weird.
are.
It sounds
No.
weird,
No,
but
it's
it's
not.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
I don't
there you
know.
are.
it's like, oh, so that's what he's been up to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was just such a cool guy. He had a giant sword tattoo on his back.
Really?
That's right. Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't
Yeah,
know about that.
it was literally the length of his back.
Holy crap, that's insane.
It's like Brock Lesnar has it on his chest.
Yeah. So he was our wrestling coach too.
Mhm, yes, he was.
He was a part of that. Like, he was just such a cool guy to talk to. So I think, when you have a great teacher like that, it is so impressionable,
Yeah.
right? And like that's what kids are, is that they are impressionable. Like, you're trying to guide them.
Mm-hmm. And make an
And
impact in
just
their life. Yeah.
because you only get a certain amount of time with them, you get 9 months. So it's
Yeah.
like, whatever I instill upon you in the knowledge that I have and the course that I have to teach, let alone, because that's another thing that not deters you, but you have to teach course
Oh,
content.
yeah. Yeah.
So it's
There's
like,
curriculum to get through.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to teach life skills when you're trying to teach them Spanish.
right, like you can sit there and like preach to them about how they should invest in stocks when they're 18, but like you still got to teach this vocabulary
Right.
chapter. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? So yeah, it's just it's a tough gig. You find a way. I think it's in your nature, though.
Yeah.
That's what I've gathered.
Yeah, I
everyone-
I can definitely see that.
Everyone has always said, "Oh, you make a great teacher." Like from the beginning, right? From when
Right.
I first kind of expressed interest, and I never understood necessarily why, and I still really don't, right? But I do think that it takes a special kind of person to want to go in front of X amount of 12 to 18-year-olds every day, right?
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine that kind of? I mean, like because everyone does, like we talked about this earlier, the focus and the attention is on you, and it's like everything, like every little thing can be critiqued. Think about the
Yeah.
stuff that we used to say
yeah,
about our
kids-
teachers,
kids
right?
would-
It's
yeah.
like
We
not
would
even
roast
bad
our
stuff,
teachers for
right?
just silly things.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
a teacher could, I don't know, like, eat something bad, show up to work. They're just adults trying to go to work,
Just
right?
get the job
They
done.
end up shitting their pants. Are you telling me that you're not going to, at 15 to 18 years old, laugh at the fact that your teacher shit their poor little pants? Like, it's just unavoidable. So, like, what?
So, speaking of which, do you remember when that one girl
Yes.
pooped her pants in class?
Yes.
And
we were in the same class, fifth
But
grade.
see, here was the
Oh.
problem.
Fifth grade.
Here was the problem: is that we were in those what were they called? Those like pod classrooms. Like you had to go outside
the
of the building to
modular.
get
Yeah,
in the
modular. Yeah.
So the thing was that the teacher had left the room for a short amount of time, and she
Crazy she did
pooped her
that.
pants, and like you can't leave because. How are you gonna get back in the building? You're now just in the middle of the street, like as a child.
So we were like, "What is that smell?" It smelled
Yeah.
so bad. We ran into Mrs. B's room.
Oh,
Well, there were two Miss B's.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but I think we may have. Yeah,
Ooh, fifth grade
Yeah.
teacher.
yeah,
Pretty
and
I'm sorry.
that was just not a good situation.
Not a
'cause
good scene.
She couldn't go anywhere. She was just trapped in this room with
Yeah.
everyone else just baking in the.
Oh my god! Like, do you ever come across kids who have that sort of empathy for those people, who like maybe at a younger age understand like, oh, that poor girl just pooped herself. Like, that's sad, and I hope she's okay.
I think that I try to prevent a lot of situations. Like just today, I had a student who was going through a female student's backpack, right? And it wasn't like ooh, I'm going to go dig through your stuff. It was kind of like, but the student was like, hey, stop looking around, because what does a female right carry around, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, hey, and I know that, right? And that's just like, that's something that we know, right? And I'm like, hey, stop that. But as a boy at that age might not think about this stuff. I'm like, hey, stop, because I don't need that kind of. Not, you shouldn't be embarrassed, but it's like, I don't need that.
That
we
whole
don't need
situation,
that, right? I'm like,
what is
stop
this?
stop
And,
that, right?
Oh, geez.
Right, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm like, stop that right now. And he did, and that was the end of that. But it's like, I don't know. Like, kids are, there's a mix of people. I never had a situation like that. I did have a situation where a student like farted. We're like, well, like, oh my god! I was like, all right, enough. Like, stop. Like, come on. And again, it just kind of, man, I don't know what it is. I just my presence or something, like I keep saying, just kind of stops that from happening, and we just move on. But it's like,
because they look at you as that person who's going to tell them. Like if you tell them to be quiet, they're like, oh crap! Like the teacher is yelling at us. We're not. I know you're not yelling, but you know what I mean? It's like,
It's like,
well,
hey,
at our school too, it definitely is more ingrained.
Kids are good, right?
Like
at where
the
we
kids,
went.
yeah, like they're way more well behaved, dude. There are places where public school is a free for all.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, we're
literally.
actually, quite frankly, the teachers that we have were and are spoiled, right, in terms of the student behavior. Now, obviously, there's the horror stories that people do have.
Of course.
Luckily, I don't at the moment, but it's like, for the most part, it's easy. It's easy. Like I said, the substitute, like when I was doing the daily subbing, it was so boring. That's why, like, I came to love like teaching Spanish and doing all this stuff. But because I could actually speak and instruct and talk. Whereas it was sit in the corner and, hey, let me know if you need to go to the bathroom. Right? It was 3 minutes of speaking and then 38 minutes of sitting.
That's so depressing.
Right? It sucked.
Yeah.
Because and my sister sent me a funny thing. It was like a substitute teacher getting harassed essentially, and I was like, I wish something like this would happen.
Just so something
it's so
interesting.
boring. It was so boring,
but now you feel like you're more engaged with them,
Yeah.
and you feel like you're educating and mentoring.
Yeah.
I have a friend
That's
who
good.
is a Spanish teacher in Delaware, and it's hard to be a teacher. Like, especially when you're full time. I think she's in elementary level, so that's like a different game. I feel like, I mean, when you're teaching, I think the instinct is like when you're in college, at least, I want to teach. Do they call it secondary ed?
Yes, so 7 through 12 is secondary.
So I want to teach secondary because can't handle teaching primary or don't want to for whatever reason. But then there's like primary education where it's like totally different ballpark.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a split, and even in college we saw that, where we had our secondary ed classes and our education, which was both early and secondary ed, and the secondary ed students in all of the seminars that we would go to, all of the classes that were mixed, we'd all congregate together, right? We all just knew it's like, oh, there is a separation.
Yeah.
There's a difference between just people, right? Who we are, right? And how we act and what we want, and
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed that part of college. I don't know, just hanging out with the secondary people where they were cool.
No, I guess that's a form of mentorship too. It's a little more supervision, I would say, for primary education. Like, you're more in charge of just like corralling these crazy screaming, pooping, throwing up.
Yeah, I don't want to
Like,
say that you're like a glorified babysitter, because you're not. You're still an educator, and there are important things. And when we think about like missing class and virtual education in terms of primary education, it's going to have major repercussions down the line.
You have kids that can't read.
Right, you have basics that need to be covered. Because again, like in college, it was like, oh, the early ed is like, it's like, oh yeah, go do your arts and crafts homework, right? But it's like, in reality, you are teaching basic social skills that are necessary for human interaction. You're teaching reading and writing and handwriting and holding a pencil, right? And all this stuff that are so important.
Yeah.
And now that's kind of going away. It's not going away, but you're going to have a group of students who, for 1 to 2 to whoever knows how long, many years, it's going to be different.
It's so deeply embedded into our skulls too that like you think to yourself, like, what would it be like to just not know how to write or read? Like, it's innate. I don't want to say innate, but it's so learned that it's just there. Like, I can't.
Now it's innate, yeah.
I mean, I guess I could, if something happened to me, I could unlearn how to read. But barring any of that, naturally, I just read.
Right, like Deer Park.
You don't think
Just
of exactly.
Exactly.
Right? Think about going grocery shopping, not knowing how to read,
Yeah.
Right.
or
Yeah.
driving.
Dell. Just
I
like
mean,
reading stuff.
Yeah,
It's
driving
like, it's
just
there.
in general is kind of like that too. It's a little more reactionary, and I feel like you kind of have to be aware. But yeah, reading is like breathing.
Yeah.
What are you choosing not to read? Like I can't like just look at something and be like I don't
can't
want to read
choose it, right.
Prince of the Tetons. Like I'm
But you
not
read
going
it.
to.
It's right
but
up there.
I can't not.
Right. It's just like the information's burned in your brain.
Yep.
Right there.
Yeah. So, education, amazing. Definitely tough to be an educator, a mentor, just in general, because it's very circumstantial. You have to be adaptable. It sounds like, at least in your profession, one school can be completely different from another school. It's a completely different mentality.
Completely different environment.
Yeah. So,
Well,
shout out to all the teachers out there. You're doing a huge service, even if sometimes it doesn't seem that way.
we're,
Truly is.
We're almost
necessary.
hitting about an hour and a half here, a little bit. So, Brad, do you have any?
Anything you want to ask us, Brad? We can cut out that space.
Right? Yeah. Let me. I'm trying to think about. Well, what do we want to talk about, right? Like, or what can we talk about, right? I don't know. Like, what has been going on? Phil, what are you up to? You know, like, what have you been up to? Let me quickly say this, because I told the Derek meeting story, and I mentioned how I had one of the earliest memories with Phil. I have a couple. I remember hanging out with Derek, and then saying, "Oh, we're going to go to Phil's house. He's this cool guy." And I kind of, I knew you because, our sisters knew each other from wrestling managers, and your brother wrestled. And obviously, we all know each other in our area. So it's like, I was like, okay. And I just knew you were just like this little wild dude, right? Like, just
Dude, I was
crazy.
bouncing off the walls when I was a
like,
kid,
wow,
right?
like literally like, ah.
It's like a ping pong.
Like, kind of like, like one of those people, which is so great.
You'd
It's
just
so
be
fun.
so up close, dude. Like I feel like when I picture your face as like when we were younger, like it's through a fisheye lens because you're just like in my face. So I'm like,
I remember hanging out. I actually think it was Austin's basement, and you were there
It very
playing
well could be.
Halo 3.
Probably, yeah.
And I also remember, this is actually like probably the main memory, was going to your house and playing airsoft. And I just remember catching a BB where you don't want to catch a BB, right? And I'm just like, I remember just like laying up, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What are we doing? Because you had like the good stuff, right? Me and Derek, we had the little spring pistols, right?
Phil would always
And
have,
Phil had
like,
like
the,
the good stuff.
high-powered.
Like a freaking shotgun.
Yeah, like the AR. Like, I'm like, come on, this isn't even fair.
We have pistols. Oh my god, Brad! Remember your sensitive tooth? That saga, is that still there?
No, I do have sensitive teeth. I still have sensitive teeth, but oh my gosh.
Like ice could touch his tooth.
Really?
He'd be like,
Right now, like I can't a refrigerated apple. I can't. It just hurts. I'm going to cause it. Like there's going to be pain.
That's so weird.
And the funny thing. All right, so how that happened
Wait,
was
sorry, how do you do with ice cream?
It takes me a long time to eat ice cream.
Okay.
It's like a snow cone off the table.
Oh,
I can't eat a snow cone.
I
Just be
actually don't really like snow cones.
Chomp into those things. I will never bite ice cream. To lick it, right? This tooth
You bite ice cream, it makes them great.
got knocked out by a buddy of ours, Colin S., my class.
Iron lung.
Playing, yes, one functional lung.
What?
He had a collapsed lung in a football game. He's all right.
Okay.
But he knocked my tooth out playing laser tag. He pistol whipped me, essentially. By accident. Didn't knock my tooth out, cracked it in half. Exposed nerve. So that sucked, right? But I need to get a root canal. So I got a root canal.
Dude, I
but
want to vomit. That's
during
freaking
this root
horrible.
canal, the exposed nerve
gets better.
was bad. The exposed nerve was bad.
It was bad. You could see it. Like it
Yeah,
was
you
like
could see
visible.
it. It was disgusting.
Like you could like snip it with the tweezers.
Don't say.
Yes.
Why would you say?
It's like that because the funny thing is, it's like, oh, this is when you actually think about like nerves, like that was an exposed nerve that is going to my brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like it's so weird to think about. But
messed up.
when I got my root canal, I had like been so careful with how I eat, how I drink. Even if I took a breath in, it would be like, ooh, you know what I mean? It stung because it was cold.
Go there.
And they say like the dentist or I guess it's like some orthopedic surgeon, whatever. I don't know. Was like, is it sensitive to heat and cold? It's first of all, it's like, lady, it's an exposed nerve. Yeah, like it's sensitive
to everything.
And they're like, okay, we're going to test to see if it's sensitive to cold. They take like this probe, like this metal probe, and they sprayed it with. It wasn't this, but if you like hold a compressed air upside down, it will essentially be like a freeze ray.
Yes.
Right. It's like ice.
Yeah.
They shoot this compressed air of some sort onto this metal probe, and it forms a small ball of ice on the end of it. And I'm in the operating room or whatever. It sounds more dramatic than it is, but they have this thing like pinned up on my mouth, and
you're uncomfortable.
And it's all there, and they go, all right, here we go, and they stick this little ball of ice on this metal probe directly on the exposed nerve, and all I hear, the craziest shit is this. I just hear a sizzle, like a tss, like because it was so cold, and I'm like, ah! I scream. I literally scream because, and I swear, I don't know. Listen, I have no scientific diagnosis for this, but I swear that like shocked my teeth, all of them, for the rest of my life, where it's just like I just now have incredibly sensitive teeth because I didn't before that very day, before that.
I remember that whole sequence of
and then the funny thing is, I got the root canal, standard root canal. A million people get root canals, right? Yeah. And they said, okay, you're gonna feel pain in about 12 hours. Take ibuprofen, right? Because they were like the painkillers, whatever. It'll wear off, and you'll feel a lot of pain in 12 hours. When you do that, just take 4 ibuprofen.
4 ibuprofen.
Right? Or 1,000 milligrams, whatever it was. So I'm like, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Brad, sidebar, not to be controversial, real quick. Do you have an ibuprofen addiction?
No,
okay.
I don't. The funny thing is, I know we've talked a lot about ibuprofen with football and stuff, and I think, I wouldn't say I had an addiction, but I would definitely take it more than I probably should have.
Because Advil, back in the day.
Yeah, Advil, ibuprofen, I used to freaking pop those things all the time, right? And again, it was just physical pain, right? Working out, football, wrestling, joint pain. And now I don't. Even when I do have a headache and stuff, my mom's like, "Oh, did you take something?" I'm like, "No," because I try not to. Like I really don't do it. I don't really take many painkillers much at all anymore. But and it sounds like it's just ibuprofen, right?
I know. It's no big deal.
Addiction or anything,
but no, it wasn't funny. But I was just like, wow, it's a lot of Advil.
Yeah, no, people had definitely told me that in the past. Yeah, but talking about a lot of Advil, I'm playing video games that very night with some buddies of mine, Call of Duty. And the operation was at 1 p.m. Playing late into the evening as I would.
Mm-hmm. Right, as we all did.
We could get into that. That's my follow-up. Continue.
I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh. I'm just playing Call of Duty, like I said. I'm like, oh. And I was like, oh, ow. It was like incredible pain. I'm like, I couldn't take it. And I like run downstairs, and I just freaking pop the bottle. I'm just like, and I just put like not a handful, but it was probably like maybe 8, right? They said 4, right? And I'm just like, because it was just so much pain. And obviously, listen, it's not like it was like an instant fix, right? I'm just like, I couldn't see, like, it was just, you're getting drilled into your tooth, you know what I mean? It's like, that actually hurts, right? There's trauma there. And I'm like, it just hurts so much. And I was just like, and mind you, this is like, I'm like 12 years old, and I'm like, I don't know, 180 pounds, like popping 8 ibuprofen.
Oh my god! Like, I don't know, like, I wish we could hang out like the old days, but fortunately we're adults. You just used to be so reactionary, and
I still am.
I think that's just a part of who you are. But like sometimes, man,
that's so funny.
You just you would crack me up, dude. Like you'd be so dramatic. Okay, since you had mentioned it a couple times already, can we talk about Dr. Codrage for a second here?
About who?
Can I what? Personally get access?
Doctor
just
who?
Somehow, some way, get access to those videos. Do you still have them?
All the videos.
You're kidding me.
What is this?
I shouldn't say I alone, because there's been a leak. No, there's been a leak, but
no way.
I alone have full access to the entire catalog of DCR videos, Dr. Codrage videos. Dr. Codrage was my online moniker. I don't know, between the years of, 2012.
Wait, this is like
right?
this is getting yanked from the recesses of my mind.
Yep.
I'm remembering.
Awaken, Phil.
Wait,
the prophecy is true.
You're missing out, man. They're so good.
Being reactionary, and I've still played Call of Duty every now. I shouldn't say that. I haven't played it for many months, but yeah. I do. I have Cold War. Yeah. And I get angry, but I've relaxed in my old age. Mm-hmm. But I used to be a very upset video game player. A lot of anger, a lot of broken controllers, a lot of flipped chairs. Oh my God, just
Oh, yeah.
horrific curse words.
Oh man,
Horrific. As a child, I think back, I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I can't.
Yeah,
I still
some of the
Like the
things.
kind of thing, if your mom walked in the room, you would not be allowed to
Oh, my dad
socialize
would
for, like,
freak
Oh my God, I used to
My
get yelled
dad
at all the
would
time.
freak out.
It's 3 a.m.
Rightfully so.
Rah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, as an adult, I'm like, what? Like, why?
I'd wake up. I'd be on the futon.
Oh my God, yeah.
Right behind him.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
saying all
bad.
those
Yeah, you'd be
It
upset
wasn't,
too.
you know, it's goods and bads. It's a memory.
Are you
That's what-
comfortable with sharing one of these videos, like with the public? No.
No.
They're
Okay,
vaulted.
okay.
That's why I want one so
Okay.
bad. It's like, oh my god, NFTs these days.
Sell it.
You sell one, Brad's.
No, it was fun, and I don't know. Actually, like, it sounds so stupid to say, but doing that at a young age, making videos, content, almost 10 years ago at this point, it didn't set me up to be a good, speaker and educator and this and that, or being a but it said, I'm making videos for an audience,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And a lot of
Yeah.
people don't do that, and a lot of people don't like hearing their voice, and every now and then I do watch these videos, or I'll be like, let me look at this one quick, and like, I'm like, oh my God, I sounded like that. I was putting
Yeah.
these out
World
here,
views,
Yeah.
right?
tweaking
Stuff,
and,
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Oh, it was done the old way too with the capture.
Yeah,
You, like-
Roxio game capture.
Yeah, you would,
right?
you would
need
hook
to
it
hook
up
it up
to your PS3.
Now it's so easy. You just double tap, screen record.
What?
Yeah.
I
You'd
a
have to hook it up to a laptop, and it would be feeding the gameplay from your PS3 to the laptop, and then you would essentially be recording simultaneously audio, and then you would probably link it up.
That's so many steps.
Yeah, or you could do it like over top, right?
Yeah.
And but yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I every now and then, I made some videos playing Resident Evil 4 maybe a couple years ago, right? Oh my God, I wish next time you listen, if you bring Audrey back for another one and talk about video gaming, please bring me too.
I
'Cause
would love that
I
to
would
be
do
a
that
nice
actually.
I would love to talk about video games with you
Yes.
guys. But yeah, I mean, it was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And I would love to get more involved in doing that stuff. And I did like the wing reviews as well. If I
such
do,
a shame. I
that's what I'll
understand.
plug at the end, because I'm bringing it back.
Yeah.
I am bringing it back for the
Thank
summer.
goodness.
Because it's like nothing was bad, you know what I mean? But I didn't.
It was popular
Yeah,
too,
it was.
man.
It
Like, you
was.
had
It was.
content.
It was.
Dude, people were watching that.
Thousands of views,
That's
200
good.
followers in like a couple weeks, and I don't know. Like, it's not. It's
you had
not.
some good support. It was like definitely grassroots, like
Mm-hmm.
just getting the name out there, man. But like it was funny. I was watching them. That's good. I like BG Coffee too.
Yeah, I got to get back on that too.
That's okay. I think it shows you. I don't want to say you like to be a presence, but I just think you've always felt comfortable with the spotlight on you, which is so interesting because, like, when I think about, like, Brad off screen, you're the same person, but, like, I just never really thought of that until now, man. I just, like, now that I'm thinking about it, like, you've always really kind of wanted to have, an audience to talk to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's not really like and this is kind of deep stuff where it's like, yeah, no, you two and James we like the deep stuff here.
Yeah.
So a lot of changing has happened in my life, right? The past year, let's say year. Physical, everything. I said this a while ago. Like, if you took a snapshot of my life today and showed it to me a year ago or 2 years ago, I would not believe you. I wouldn't believe it. It's just so unbelievable, the things that, in good and bad and whatever, but it's just life. Life is life, right? And I've always had, like you said, this kind of, not need, right? Because there are definitely times where it's like, don't talk to me.
It's
Let me
not
sit in my
like you
bedroom
want
and
it,
just
but-
sleep, right? Or just chill, watch videos, play games. But then there's times where it's like, no, I want to go talk. I want to tell a story, right? I want to do this and that, whatever.
Right.
But it's like, where we get into ego and stuff like that, I'm trying to make a transition to just kind of just be chill, right? Just chill. Because like bad things happen when you go either way, right? Obviously. And being a teacher, and most teachers, right? The same thing. Like, you have to want that kind of attention, right? Because you can't. There are people who, once they get it, it's like, no, I'm not doing this. I can't do it, right? And there are people who have power trips in the classroom. We've all had that teacher where it's like, this is the way it's done.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that,
Yeah.
right? You need to find a balance,
Right.
both in life, in your profession, with your friends, everything, right? Where you're just kind of chill, right? I'm trying to transition into that because I've been on both.
Yeah,
And
I
just
definitely agree with that. Yeah.
because there are times where it's like you think about the good and bad in your life that's happened and the things you've overcome or things you've gone through or the things that beat you down, right? And you're still here, this and that, where it's like, you know what? Like, as someone who I think I've lived, the three of us all, and it could be expounded to everybody, right? Everyone has a story, right? No one's life is perfect, right? But when I think of specifically my life, I think I recognize, I think it's important to recognize that everyone has a story. Everyone's been through stuff, whether you're a rich, child of a billionaire, or if you're the poorest person in the world, right? Like, you have a story, right? You have good and bad. And I think that you need to appreciate those times of good fortune and bad, right? And find a way to kind of exist in the middle of that.
Without the bad experiences, you're not growing. Right?
Yeah.
Like, this is I've said this a million times, and people almost sort of laugh, but it's like, this is why we don't play video games on easy. Because playing video games on easy is boring.
Right.
There's no challenge. It's
going through
just,
the motions.
Yeah, you're just going through motions. There's nothing pushing you. And I think that's why I'm so grateful for every horrible thing that's happened to me in my life. Because I'm like, if some of these things had never happened to me, I wouldn't be the person I am today.
Yeah.
I'd probably be a lot weaker.
I totally understand.
I feel like
that,
I'm playing on the perfectly hard difficulty that I should be on. Like, I feel like almost everyone lives the life that is just challenging enough for them. Mostly, like, as a blanket statement, like, not everyone. Some people have it really bad.
Yeah.
But
I think a big change for me, and I'm glad that you've, made that progress in your life. I'm kind of working on that still, I'd say. Like, still sort of climbing my way up. It started around, like, a year ago, I'd say, but, pandemic, we go back to that. Like, that was a big inspiration for me to, like, really sit back and be like, is this who I want to be? So now I'm just kind of working out the growing pains. But in general, I made a lot of progress, and I think you start to, like, view the past differently, especially when you come to terms with, like, everything that's happened. Like, you start to think of positive memories. You don't hang on to the negativity as much.
Yeah.
And I, like, just sitting here today, like, talking about all the good memories we had, like, nothing better in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And simultaneously, throughout all of those memories we just mentioned, there were other real world things going on in our lives at that time. Like, it wasn't all peaches and creams. It's just... What?
I'm just laughing. It's a funny analogy. It's like, I don't know.
It's a color of caulk and mortar I sell.
Peaches and cream?
Peaches and cream. It's very popular in New York.
Very strange. Okay.
I sell like a bag a year, sort of thing. It's a weird color. Why would you want that, like, on your wall?
I don't know. I can't really think about what that looks like. Peaches and cream? Is it kind of like a pinkish, whitish?
Like, it's like a soft orange.
Okay.
Almost into a brown.
pastel.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will admit, like,
Pastel.
like, it is, like, okay, I work in the flooring industry, and, like, up until like November, I've never dealt with flooring in my life.
Yeah, you
like,
never
I didn't even know what I was looking at, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But now that I'm learning more, I've realized that, like, there's a craft to this. Like, people really put in sometimes their entire life. Like, we have old men coming in, they'll pick up a 50-pound bag of grout and just, like, carry out to their car. They're like 70 years old. Yeah.
God bless them.
Just hard-working individuals. And, like, ideologically, I don't really always agree with the demographic that I serve, but I can at least respect their
work ethic.
And I've learned so much from them. And it's definitely brightened my life in a weird way. Never thought flooring would do that. But yeah.
It's not just flooring, right? It's the human element, right?
Yes.
And that's in any profession, right? And a lot of people, it's like, how do you gain some kind of sense of, I don't know, belonging or worldly view from the flooring industry? It's like, well,
right.
it's not that, right? It's the human element, and we're, whatever. Like, my mom she makes eyeglasses, right? But it's the same thing, right? It's all it doesn't matter your profession. Now if you're working alone, all the time, then it's like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you know what I mean.
No,
right?
I know what you mean. I think just, like, going out in the world. Like one of my job requirements is like substitute truck driving. I'm not sure if I talked about it on the podcast before, but basically, I drive that big truck you see in the lot there to
Big
places like 2 hours out of our way. I'm talking Chambersburg. I'm talking like Carlisle, Harrisburg, Lancaster, on highways, on back roads, up mountains. It's insane.
What?
It's like literally like throw some like preppy boy who went to like a small public school and went to, you know, like a large college into a truck and just be like, go deliver flooring products to all of our vendors. But what I like about it is I get to see our state.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
From a high up ass truck too. So I'm like, just like sometimes, you know, it's very active driving. I'm like operating a vehicle that could just kill someone.
Right.
Like I would destroy something.
You would run me over in my vehicle,
right? Like it would not be pretty if I hit a car. So like it's just like something that I have to focus on. But every now and then, you know, I get to glance over, be like, whoa, or like I'm out in Cole County, like dropping off this small little flooring shop in this small town main street, like this little old man greets me. You know what I mean? Like it's just different culture, the accents. It's like sometimes it's like things I've never heard before. Like it's such a weird sound, and I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
like, what? There's so many people out there, and you may disagree with them on a lot of things, but that's okay. Like they're just existing. You're just existing. Nobody shits in my Cheerios. You know what I mean? Like I wake up and like
What?
nobody's like
What does that even?
nobody like nobody really bothers me.
No.
So like I shouldn't feel
Oh, okay. Yeah.
any sort of like negativity about
Yeah.
that. Like I'm just existing my life. So are other people. So
Yeah.
like why?
To each their own, right?
Yeah, just like as long as you're not harming other people, I really don't have a problem with your ideological views.
Yeah.
Right.
Republican, Democrat, whatever. You know, just be good to people, be kind, treat people with respect,
Spread
and learn.
love, man.
Always be willing to learn in life, no matter what age you are, no matter where you're at
it just
in
keeps
life.
going.
Just be open and receptive. Learning just requires focus and intent.
Yeah.
You just really have to just be aware.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
And just absorb. So, once again, thank you so much, Brett, for joining us. I wish we could just sit here and record forever.
Right.
That would definitely lull people to
My
sleep.
brain hurts. So. And I
But
need
yeah,
more
this has
water.
been an amazing conversation. So thanks for joining us, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
Timeforanything.com.
Timeforanything.com. We pitch it
Yeah.
every time.
Brad, do you have one final thing to say to anyone? Anything you want to shoot out
jeez. All right.
You made it this far, listener. Thank you.
No, it's been
Thank
great
you for joining
hanging
us.
out with you two. I hope to do it again.
Yeah.
Not even,
Absolutely.
we don't have to record a podcast. Let's just chill, right?
Yeah,
let's
I
just
mean,
hang out.
obviously, like
Absolutely.
like you said, Derek, it's being an adult is hard, right?
tough.
It's like you don't have time, right? You can't just hang out with your. It's like almost nothing is happening during the week.
We're trying to
right?
get together with our friend Andy. It's like, it's
14.
impossible. And a lot of times, and I don't take any offense to this if this is, you know, what you do too, but like sometimes I'm just shot at the end of the day. Like I'm just like, nah, I'm just
100%.
not into
Yeah.
it, you know? And, but it's really nice that we could just all get together and have this moment. And here's to many more. So thank you for listening. See you next time.